I didn't argue when my mother asked me to handle her birthday this year. She didn't ask directly, not really. She mentioned how complicated things were, how no one had time, how I was always good with details. It was easier to say yes than to examine why I still wanted to be useful to them. I picked the restaurant, spoke to the manager twice, adjusted the guest count when my aunt added 3 more people at the last minute. I paid the deposit under my name because it was simpler that way. It always was. The group chat stayed active the whole week. Small talk, occasional jokes, nothing that included me but nothing openly hostile either. I had learned to read that tone as neutral, even if it wasn't. The message came late in the evening, from my father. Don't come to your mom's birthday. The whole family doesn't want you there. You're a loser. It wasn't written in anger. That was the part that held me still for a moment. It felt decided like a conclusion reached without me. The chat reacted almost immediately. A few laughing emojis. One cousin added something about keeping things peaceful this time. No one disagreed. No one asked what happened. I read it again, slower. Not to check if I misunderstood, but to let it settle into something solid. There was a strange clarity in it, years of smaller moments, being talked over, being excluded from decisions, being the one who handled things but didn't belong in them, lined up neatly behind that message. I typed back, took a second, then sent it. So you chose money over your son? No one responded right away. I didn't expect them to. It wasn't really a question. I put my phone down and opened my email. The reservation confirmation was still there, the manager's name at the bottom. I called the next morning. He remembered me. We went over the details once more. Date, time, number of guests. I'd like to cancel, I said. There was a brief pause. You understand the deposit is non-refundable within 48 hours? I understand. He processed it while we were still on the line. His tone stayed professional, steady. He asked if I needed anything else. I told him no. Then I transferred the remaining balance I had set aside back into my account. Closed the planning notes I had been keeping. Deleted the reminder I had set for the day of the event. The group chat kept moving. They were still joking. Someone asked about dress code. My aunt mentioned bringing a cake. By the afternoon, the first call came. It wasn't to me. I only knew because my cousin texted in the chat. The restaurant says there's no booking? A few minutes later, another message. Confusion, then irritation. Someone said there must be a mistake. My father wrote that he'd call them himself. There was a gap after that. Longer this time. When he came back, the tone had shifted. Shorter messages, less certainty. They said the reservation was canceled this morning. Another pause. Then, who handles this? No one answered immediately. I watched the messages appear, then disappear, as people typed and reconsidered. Finally, my name came up. Not directly at first, just a mention that I had been dealing with it. My phone rang a few minutes later. I let it ring once, twice, then answered. My father didn't start with anger. That surprised me. What happened with the reservation? It's canceled, I said, a breath on the other end. Why? I didn't raise my voice, because I'm not attending. That doesn't make sense, he said. A little sharper now. You could just what? I asked, not aggressively, just to hear the rest of the sentence. He didn't finish it. Instead, he shifted. We needed that booking. You knew that. I looked at the empty space where my planning notes had been. It was under my name. Another pause. Longer this time. They said they can't reinstate it, he added. Quieter now. Policy. I could picture the conversation he'd had. The manager explaining calmly, pointing to the system, to the name, attached to the reservation. Something neutral and unarguable. I know, I said. In the background, I could hear voices. Not clearly, just enough to know the room wasn't calm anymore. So what are we supposed to do now? He asked. It wasn't really directed at me. It sounded like he was asking the situation itself. I thought about answering, about offering alternatives, calling somewhere else, fixing it the way I usually did. Instead, I said, I'm sure you'll figure something out. Silence settled between us. Not tense, just unfamiliar. You should have handled this differently, he said after a moment, but there wasn't much weight behind it. Maybe, I replied. We stayed on the line for a few seconds longer, neither of us adding anything. Then he hung up. The chat slowed down after that. Messages became practical. New plans, smaller options, a few complaints about availability. No one tagged me again. I didn't leave the group. I just muted it. That evening, I sat at my kitchen table longer than usual, not thinking about them exactly. More about the absence of that pull, the need to be included, to be useful enough to matter. It felt unfamiliar. Not relief, not quite. Something quieter. I didn't go to the birthday. I didn't get another message telling me not to. The next day, there was a photo posted in the chat. A different restaurant, smaller, less formal. Everyone gathered close together. I looked at it for a moment, then set my phone aside. Nothing about it made me want to go back and fix anything.